It is, yeah, it's true. The reflection of the sun. You can switch off the light. Then not here. That somebody had entered, no? Oh, okay. There. There. The camera was focusing, like fan was the side, not because it was actually rooftop. We had kept, I think, flat. It was simply the fan. No. Okay.
Mix. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ प्रपञ्चसृष्टिन्मुकलास्य कायै समस्तसंहारकताण्डवाय जगज्जनन्यै जगदेकपित्रे नमः शिवायै च नमः शिवाय वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां हरिः ओम्. Okay, long break, nearly 2 months of discontinuity. So I was wondering which sloka we were in, and then I checked the PowerPoint and then I realized we have gone up to 60. We will go to this. आद्यामित तेजसे श्रुतिपतैर्वेद्याय साध्यायते विद्यानन्दमयात्मने त्रिजगतः संरक्षणोद्योगिने ध्येयाय किल योगिभिः सुरगणैः गेयाय मायाविने सम्यक् ताण्डव सम्भ्रमाय जटिने सेयं नतिशम्भवे नित्याय त्रिगुणात्मने पुरजिते कात्यायनी श्रेयसे सत्यायादि कुटुम्बिने मुनिमनः प्रत्यक्ष चिन्मूर्तये माया सृष्ट जगत्त्रयाय सकलां नायान्त संचारिणे सायांताण्डव संभ्रमाय जटिने सेयं नतिशम्भवे नित्यं सोदरपूरणाय सकलानुद्दिश्य वित्ताशया व्यर्थं पर्यटनं करोमि भवतः सेवां न जाने विभो मज्जन्मान्तर पुण्यपाकफलतस्त्वं सर्वसर्वान्तरः तिष्ठस्येव हि तेन वा पशुपते ते रक्षणीयोऽस्म्यहम् एको वारिज बान्धव क्षितिनभो व्याप्तं तमो मण्डलं भित्त्वा लोचन गोचरोऽपि भवति त्वं कोटिसूर्यप्रभः वेद्यः किन्न भवस्यहो घनतरं कीदृग्भवोन्मत्तमः तत्सर्वं व्यपनीय मे पशुपते साक्षात् प्रसन्नो भव हंस पद्मवनं समिच्छति यथा नीलाम्बुदं चातकः कोकः कोकनद प्रियं प्रतिदिनं चन्द्रं चकोरस्तथा चेतो वाञ्छति मामकं पशुपते चिन्मार्गमृग्यं विभो गौरीनाथ भवत्पदाब्जयुगलं कैवल्यसौख्यप्रदम् Rodastoya hritashramena patikashchayam tarorvrishtitah Beetaswasta griham grihastamatirdhina prabhum dharmikam Deepam santamasakulascha shikinam sheetavritastvam tata chetas sarva bhayapaham brajasukam shambho padamboruham. So we have seen 60 shlokas in Shivananda Lahari. Since there is a long continuity, let me do a little bit of rewinding it. See, Shankaracharya in his Viveka Chudamani made a certain observation about bhakti. He said, "Moksha samagriyam bhakti eva gariyasi." That's the first thing. The first line, that is what he said. Moda samagriyam bhakti eva gariyasi. Of all that you have to attain moksha, really a good raw material. Samagri is like a raw material or something which facilitates the process. Gariyasi, that is the best. That is one of the best. Then in the second line he said, in the same shloka, in the second line he said, Swaswarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti Vidhiyate. What is Bhakti? Bhakti is doing an Anusandhana of Swaswarupa. He says, whichever way we start, finally we have to go there. In a common parlance, we don't take that definition. We think bhakti is a certain kind of a upasana, and many a times we think it is a saguna upasana. That is a common parlance understanding. But then Shankaracharya says he includes all that because his entire grantha is that. So by giving a definition like that, Bhagavad-pada is saying all these must finally lead there. All these are required to reach that. Our ultimate goal is Swasarupa Anusandhana. Therefore, bhakti can be a very nice mechanism by which one can do this Swasarupa Anusandhanam. So that's why he says, Swasarupa Anusandhanam Bhakti Vidhiyate. So that is what he actually said. So if we look at this whole Grantha of Shivananda Lahari, which has, of course, 100 shlokas, and we have seen 60 so far. What we find is there is a certain set of ideas. See, what is great about Shivananda Lahari is Acharya has used this Grantha to introduce different elements of bhakti, different facets of bhakti, different moods and means of actually of a bhakta, right? And all these are very nicely illustrated in this grantha. That is why this grantha is a very nice grantha for bhakti. We can always go back and read because it gives, Acharya really gives that multi-dimensional perspective on bhakti. Otherwise, it is quite possible that we just say, so you have Narada Bhakti Sutra. Sutras are there. What happens is in a sutra format, they are all very concise. In fact, many of the ideas there today, actually, I took Narada Bhakti Sutra, 85 sutras are there. I was just going through it. Quickly, because I had this curiosity, and in a way, it was what I thought was happening. What you see in a sutra needs to be expanded in many ways. No? That's where this grantha comes. What you see in Narada Bhakti Sutra, for example, is being told with illustrations, with other ways of. So that is how this grantha is. In fact, there are very nice things. I want to recollect some of the shlokas before we go. We have now reached 60 and there is a bit of discontinuity. Third shloka, after the first two shlokas are Mangalacharana. which is what any Acharya does. In the third shloka, if you remember, there are 15 ways by which we can do dhyana. Traivedyam hridyam tripurahara madhyam trinayanam jatabarodharam chaladuragagaram pashupate, chidalambam shambam shivamati vidambam hriti bhaje, right? He says, do that constantly, contemplate in your heart. He gave 15 forms there. So he emphasized at the very beginning that fixing of the mind is very important in bhakti. We have to fix the mind. In fact, not only for bhakti. Ultimately, even if we want to succeed in our professional life, if we want to succeed in doing anything, it all boils down to fixing of the mind. If we can't fix the mind, then, it is all chanchalam hi mana Krishna, pramadi balavadradam. It all dissipates everything. So everywhere we need to fix. So in a bhakti, the first thing we have to fixate our mind, and bhakti as a saguna upasana as we start, we have to fix our mind on our Ishta Devata. That's why I was saying, if you remember at that time when we talked about it, I said that's why every stotra, Vishnu Sahasranama will have a dhyanam. Every shloka, the Sahasranamas will have a dhyanam. And even Rudram has a dhyanam, Sri Rudram has a dhyanam. The idea is we have to understand the meaning of that and contemplate on it. The mind wavering will first come to a certain. So that's what he did in the third shloka. Then very quickly Acharya brought this idea in the ninth shloka, for example. Gabire kasare vishati vijane gora vipine vishale shaile cha brahmati kusumartam jatamatihi samarpaikam chetas sarasijam umana tabhavate sukena vastatum jana ihana janati kimaho kim ascharya. These people are all running all over the place, go to the forest, deep kasara, gabire kasare, to get a lotus from a lotus pond or some special flower. Kim Ascharya, they are not willing to offer their Hridaya Kamala. So very soon, very early in the text, Acharya established a point that it is all about manas. That's why he said, offer the manas. Chetas sarasijam umanata bhavate. This sarasija, this Hridaya Kamala, I will give it to you. Sukena avastatum jana iha na janati. People here don't know, why can't we do like this? Instead of that, we are doing all that. So that's what he did in the ninth sloka. Then there are three beautiful slokas that followed, 10, 11, 12. Naratvam, devatvam, nagamana mrigatvam, mashakkata, pashutvam, kitatvam, vihatugat. There's one sloka like that. It says, it doesn't matter which form we take. Even mashakata, mosquito, naratvam, devatvam, nagavana mrigatvam, pashutvam, kitatvam, worm. He says it doesn't matter. If all the time, if in that, whatever form that we have taken, body we have taken, in that form, if we are able to actually focus on you, why not? Right? Then he said, that is the first thing he said. In the second shloka, he said, you can be a jati, you can guha, gehi va, yetirapi, you can be a yati, you can be a sannyasa, you can be a brahmachari, it doesn't matter, any ashrama is fine. Then in the third shloka, he said, any place is okay, guhayam, geheva, bahirapi, vaneva, shikare, whatever. So he established this. He said, bhakti can be done. We don't have to say, I have to be like this, I have to do it only in this place. So he destroyed all that ideas. Shloka 10, 11, 12. So up to 15 shlokas, they were all preamble of setting up various things. Then came several shlokas, but in these several shlokas, there are two strong themes which one can keep saying. The first thing is somewhere Acharya established, which he established at the very beginning itself in the ninth shloka, that bhakti is all about something to do with the mind. So there are several shlokas I identified actually. you have shloka 20, okay? He says, in the shloka 20, it says, Sada moha tavyam charati yotinam kuchagiro, right? That is what it is saying. नटत्याशा शाखा स्वटिति जडिति स्वैरमपितः कपालिन भिक्षो में हृदय कपिम अत्यंत चपलाम दृढ़ं भक्त्या बद्वा शिव भवदधीनम कुरु विभो. Why don't you use this thread called bhakti? Because this mind is like a monkey. So he has, in several shlokas, he has actually portrayed mind in different in the next shloka, immediately after that, Dhriti Stambhadaram, there is one shloka. In 21st shloka, immediately. In that, he portrayed mind as a nice tent. He said, mind is like a tent. Why don't you come with your cohort and then stay here? That is what he said. In the 21st shloka, he said that. Then we have again a pair of shlokas, 42 and 43. I found some of these shlokas are very interesting. In the 42nd shloka, he said, mind is like a forest. Very beautifully he said. It's a very nice shloka. He says, mind is a fort. He says, 43 is a forest. Mind is a fort. Gambhiryam parikapatam ganadriti prakara udyudganaihi tomaschaptapalam ganendriya chayo dwarani dehe sitaya. A fort has so many walls, so many gates. So he portrayed the whole body with the manas as the fort. He said, you will be very safe. Why don't you come and stay here? The next shloka is even more interesting. It's the Kiratarjunya shloka actually. He says, Magachatvam itastato girishame mayeva vasam kuru. You are a hunter. Why are you going here and there? All deadly animals are inside. Right? He says, you ruchira labam cha samprapsasi. That's how the shloka ends. He says, you will only be benefited. Why are you running here and there and getting tired? Come inside. All kinds of animals are inside. You can hunt all of them and, you can, that's what it is. Then the 59 shloka that we see, it says 39, 59 shloka, he talks the mind as a chataka pakshi. And, our coconut. This coca pakshi, chataka pakshi, we saw it last time. There is a strong feeling of longingness. He brings that attitude and so on. So far, what we have seen. So this is one continuous theme. Somehow Acharya is saying it's all about manas. And this manas has to be somehow fixed. And to fix that manas, he tried several tricks. He said, oh, my manas is monkey, why don't you come? Use bhakti as a thread and then you are anyway Kapali. You are Bhikshatana. So why don't you take mine and then you have Bhiksha like that. Right? So like this he was saying. So the point that he was making is everywhere he is saying that it is all about manas and we have to do something about the manas. So far he has done it. Now, nowhere so far, just like he said, Swasarupa Anusantanam Bhaktirita Vidhiyate, he hasn't defined properly what a bhakti is. Now, the next shloka is a very, very important. The entire Shivananda, this is the most important shloka. 61st shloka, which is a very beautiful and a very important shloka. So, in which he formally defines, so far he has been telling as a bhakta what you will do, how do you cajole, how do you, ask, portray yourself in a different way, pray for something here and there. Now, in the 61st shloka of Shivananda, he formally defines bhakti. And it's I have quoted it many times, in several of my lectures. So you have a lot of familiarity of that shloka, but anyway. So you look at that shloka. So this shloka, let me just close this. Okay. Ankolam nija bija santatihi ayaskantopalam suchika sadvi naija vibum latakshitiruham sindutsaridvallabham prapnoti hayata tata pashupatehe padaravindadvayam cheto vritti rupetyatishtrati sada sa bhaktirityuchyate. I'll do a padacheda first. Ankolam nijabija santatihi ayaskantaha upalam. Ayaskantopalam. Ayaskantaha upalam. Suchika. Sadvi naija vibhum. There is no pada vicheda there. Lata kshitiruham sindhuhu sarid vallabham. Prapnoti iha. That has become Savarna Dirga. E plus E has become E. Savarna Dirga. Prapnoti iha. Yata. Tata. Pashupatehe. Padaravindaddvayam. Cheto vrittihi upetya. The rakara is for the visarga. In Sandhi, the visarga comes. Cheto vrittihi upetya. Tishtati. Sada. Sa bhaktihi iti uchyate. So there are three padas there. Bhaktihi plus iti, bhaktiriti. Bhaktirit uchyate. The other yakarayan sandhi has come. Acho, iko enachi has come actually. Okay. So let us first see what is happening here. And then this needs a lot of interpretation. Very nice shloka. It's a very important shloka. So in the first two lines, Bhagavad Pada has given 5 examples that he has observed as an illustration. He is illustrating bhakti with 5 examples. That is what he has done in the first 2 lines. So let us see what it is. And see, there is a Dvitiya Vibhakti everywhere. Ankolam. Ankolaha, Ankolam. Dvitiya Vibhakti. Okay? Upalam. Ayaskanta Upalam. Okay? Vibhum. Kshitiruham. Vallabham. You know, in Sanskrit, when there is a Dvitiya Vibhakti, it's called karma. That means some kriya is directed towards that. That's why it is called karma. The very definition of karma is like that. Kriya yam abhipraiti tat karma. See, if you say, I am eating idli, the action of eating is directed towards the idli, not me. I am the karta. If I say I am going to temple, the action of going is directed towards the temple. I may be going. So that temple must be in Devalayam Gachami. That's why we are saying Devalayam Gachami. Idlim Kadami. Because the Kadana Kriya is directed towards Idli. So here, that means there is some verb which has to be connected. Because there is a, say, Dvitiya Bhakti. So some verb is directed towards that. That verb is prapnoti. So the action of prapnoti means attain or reach. That's the meaning. Prapnoti means attain or reach or go there. Apnoti means get or attain it. Aptam, that's why we say aptam, no? What is Nanavaptam? Yad avaptam, nanavaptam cha vartay yavachana karmani. Krishna says, my wish list, what I have to get, what I have not yet gotten so far, everything is empty. He says in chapter 3 of Bhagavad. Aptam means got. So apnoti means gets or attains. Pra is a upasarga. Prakrishtena apnoti. I got it properly. So that is a verb to which all these karmas are. All these Dvitiya Bhakti are. So the act of getting is directed towards Ankolam. So there's a karta is doing something which is directed towards Ankolam. That's the meaning now. Right? So all of them you have to understand like that. So Nijabija Santatihi Ankolam Prapnoti. That's the meaning. Nijabija Santatihi Ankolam Prapnoti. Third, yeah, that is the verb. So there are 2 verbs there. This verb is related to that. Because the moment you have a Dvitiya Vibhakti, there should be a verb. Devalayam means you should say Gachati. Pashyami, the act of seeing is directed towards the temple. The temple must be now object. And Aham Devalayam Pashmami, Aham may be the Karta. Pratama Vibhakti. Dvitiya Vibhakti is the action is directed towards that. So prapnoti is the action that is directed towards ankolam. And there must be a karta. There is a nijabija santati. So the interpretation is nijabija santatihi ankolam prapnoti. So the first example he says is nija bija santatihi. Okay. Bija is seed. Nija bija is its own seed, not somebody else's seed. Santati. Santati is also seed only. Bija santati. Bija santati. Because the santati comes through the bija only, no? Angura arpanam we say, no? The seed becomes the next generation. So bija santatihi, nija bija santatihi, ankolam prapnoti. Acharya gives one example. You know what is bhakti? Bhakti is like all the seeds of Ankola tree going to Ankola, reaching or attaining Ankola. That's what he say. We'll see the meaning of all of that later. I'm just making sense of the shloka. So nijabija santatihi ankolam prapnoti. Okay. Then suchika ayaskantopalam prapnoti. So there's a second example he gives. Suchika is suchi is needle. Suchika is a strilinga. Needle is in strilinga. Suchika. Suchika ayaskanta upalam prapnoti. Oh, I'll tell you one more example for bhakti. One more example for bhakti is just like the ayaskanta is upalam. Upalam means stone. Kanta, ayaha kanta. In fact, that is sandhi. Ayaha plus kanta is ayaskanta. That which attracts, that's magnetic property. The stone which has a magnetic property attracts a suchika, a needle. That's why the needle attains that. It just goes and sticks there, no? That's what happens. You bring the magnet, tuck, it goes and sticks. So suchika prapnoti ayaskantopalam. That bhakti is like that. That's the second example he gives. Naija vibhum sadvi prapnoti. The pativrata, sadvi is a pativrata. Pativrata attains the bharta. Naija vibhu. Okay. So that is the third example. Oh, bhakti is like a pativrata attaining her bharta. That is the third example he gives. The prapnoti is for everybody. That's why all are in Dvitiya Vibhakti. There is a karma and there is a karta and there is a kriya. All the three are to be connected now. Okay. Lata Kshitiruham prapnoti. Lata is a creeper. Kshitiruham is a tree. Okay. So a creeper attains, otherwise the creeper cannot grow. It has a reach unto a tree. Its life depends on that. Only when it is able to wind itself against a tree, or bark or tree, whichever way you want to say, wooden bark or tree or whatever, right? So Lata Kshitiruham prapnoti. Okay. Sindhuhu Saridvallabham prapnoti. Sindhu is a name of a river. But Sindhu also is used to name any river. One of the specific is a Sindhu as a river. But Sindhu also means in Sanskrit river. Sarid is actually also a river. In this context, it is an ocean. A water body, basically water body. Okay. So Sindhuhu Saridvallabham. So the fifth example he gives is Sindhuhu Saridvallabham prapnoti. The river attains the ocean, reaches unto the ocean.
Sarit Vallabha is the sea.
Huh?
Sarit Vallabha is the sea.
Vallabha is the husband, actually. Sarid is the equivalent of the ocean. So water body. Sindhuhu Sarit prapnoti. Vallabham is an adjective for the Sarit for that context, actually. Right. Vallabha is actually like a husband. So 5 examples is given in the first 2 lines. Ankolam nijabija santatihi ankolam prapnoti. Okay. Ayaskanta suchika ayaskanta upalam prapnoti. Sadvi naija vibhum prapnoti. Lata kshitiruham prapnoti. Sindhuhu saridvallabham prapnoti. Iha. Yata. Just as. So Acharya says, I have given you 5 examples. just as these 5 episodes, 5 examples that I have given, tata, in the same way, Pashupatehe Padaravindadvayam Tishtati. So there is a second verb here. Tishtati is firmly stand or establish or be stay put. That's what he said. Tishtati means he's not moving here and there. He is in one place. That's why he says Tishtati. Right? Pashupatehe Padaravindaya Dvayam Tishtati. Okay? And how does it gets established in the Padara Vinda of Pashupati? First of all, Sada, not once in a while. Sada. Sada Tishtati. Sada Kutra Tishtati. Pashupatehe Padara Vinda Dvaye. Dvayam, Vinda Dvayam Tishtati. And how? Cheto Vrittihi Upetya. This Cheto Vritti is the one which is sitting there. There is no Karta here now. There is a Kriya. Tishtati is the Kriya. Who is sitting? Cheto. Where is it sitting? Padaravinda. With the verb you can ask. With the verb you can connect everything. The verb is Tishtati. You can ask, where is it sitting? Pashupatehe Padaravinda. Okay. When is it sitting? Sada. Okay. Who is sitting? Cheto Vritihi. Upetya. Having taken over that thing, that fellow is going and sitting. Okay? And that is called bhakti. So that is the definition of bhakti. So like that, this shloka is there. Okay? Now, this is a very nicely made out shloka. So let us take each one of them, of the example, and see there are different ways we can actually understand these. There are many ways we can interpret. I'll just take one or two to sort of. So first, Ankolam Nijabija Santatihi. So there is one Ankola tree. I went and found. I just inquired in the web and I found a few people have actually gone. And they put the photo also. Okay. In the first photo, the seeds are not very visible. They are all there, somewhere, they are here actually. There are some seeds here. It's not very clear. If you go and see, you can actually. You see little ridges and all that. This is an enlarged view of that. Another person has taken a. Okay. Apparently, this tree is my guru. When I learnt it from him, he said he went to Western Ghats and he saw this. Hmm?
Side it is available.
Is it? I believe so. But I think it is widely available, and several people have actually commented on this tree.
Side.
Several people have used this tree in their kavyas and all that. Apparently, they have. So there is one place called Ponneri in Chennai, just outskirts of Chennai. On the way to Tirupati, there are two ways to go to Tirupati from Chennai. One is an Andhra route, one is the Tamil Nadu route. If you go to the Tamil Nadu route, you will go mostly in Tamil Nadu route and then step in. There's another road which is Andhra road. You can go to Gumudi and there is one Ponneri. Just outskirts. So these people I saw in a blog, they have actually posted this and taken this photo and they say they saw it and so on. So it is called Arinjil in Tamil, apparently. Arinjil Maram, okay? And Ankola in Sanskrit. And there is a botanical name also to it, Alangium hexapetalam or whatever. Okay. What is special about this tree apparently is, of course, it flowers and then it becomes seeds. Seeds become fruits. Fruits. In fact, they actually take the fruits and then they grind and it has some medicinal. I read quite a bit about this. Today, I was spending a little time reading about this. They do it. Suppose if it is left in a forest, it is left unattended. No? Nobody goes and so on. So the ripe fruit falls on the ground, right? Then when rain comes, apparently the seed will just move on. Maybe, seeds also may have some winged and all that. I don't know which way it is. Because seeds moving is a very common thing. It's not an unheard thing. Many pollination happens only like that in any case. So apparently the seeds will move and then they move towards the bark of the tree. Right? The only thing my guru, when I heard it from my guru, when I heard this Shivananda Lahari in 88 or 89, what he was saying was the word Nija Bija Santati, the Nija. See, if there are two Ankola trees, if this seed, I mean, the canopy is fairly wide, it's a nice tree. So it is quite possible that some of the seeds of this tree has fallen here and there is a trunk of the similar tree here. Doesn't go there, it goes to the respective mother. It doesn't go to the nearest Ankola tree. Each tree goes to its, that's why the Nija Bija Santati is coming, I think. Its own, Swayam. So Acharya gives that example. He says, Bhakti is like that. It is like the seed going towards the, mother, its own mother. That's what he says as the first example, Ankolam Nijabija Santatihi. Right? Then he says this attraction of magnetic needle by the magnet. Any iron piece or a needle which is attracted by the magnet. Right? Now there is a subtle difference one can see between these two examples. The subtle difference is, in the first example, you can only move the seed. You cannot move the tree. One is stationary. The other has to move. Whereas the second example, technically, you can either move the needle to the magnet or you can move magnet to the needle. So there is a slight difference now. There is a slight gradation now. Both of them are going back, getting attracted and trying to get merged. See, but then in the first example, the seed has to make a prayatna, not the tree. Whereas in the second example, technically anybody can make a prayatna. So in our Bhagavatam also, in our Bhakti literature, this is, that's what Acharya is bringing here. The first step is by the Bhakta. In Bhagavatam also, Krishna says, it says, you put 2 steps, 4 steps, I will put 40 steps for you. That's why he says, Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yejana Paripasate. That's the first line. That is the first step. Ananya Chintanena. Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yejana Pariupasate. All those who fix their attention on me, which means you do the prayatna first. Then what Krishna says, Tesham Nitya Abhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Mahami. I will take 20 steps now. So in a way, that is also in a way subtly coming in these two examples. In Bhakti, you make a Purusha Prayatna, then it can become Ubhaya Prayatna. The Lord will come. The Bhagavan will come and then take us a few more steps. So that is a subtle difference between those two examples, but both of them are still talking about the same thing, that you have to get attached, get into the other one. So that is common between the two. So these are the first two examples. Then he says, Sadvi Naija Vibhum, right? This Pativratya, this, I would actually go, the spirit of married life more than the Pativratya, because it is mutual. There is a mutual thing indicated, a mutual dependence indicated here. That is why how I understand it. In the first case, whereas here there is a mutual, so it moves to the third stage. The bhakti goes to the third stage where the husband and wife, the true dhambatya is one in which there is a perfect state of mutual dependence, mutual interdependence, I would say, not even say dependence, mutual interdependence. Interdependence is a better word. Dependence is not a good word, because that means I have to depend on something. It is interdependence. There is a paraspara. That is the third level. So this blurring of the two entities happen from this stage. So the difference between the first two example and the third example, if you ask me, is the boundaries have begun to blur. In the first two cases, boundaries are not blurring. The seed is seed, the tree is tree. Okay? And there are two entities which you are able to see. The needle is separate, the magnet is separate, you can still see them, you can separate them, all that is possible. That slowly gives way. That is the third level of bhakti, the way we need to understand. So the blurring of the boundaries begins to happen. Okay, so that is Sadhvi Naija Vibhum. Then comes the Lata Kshitiruham. Now, this bhakti, the further development in the bhakti reaches a stage that there is this complete understanding of the larger principle that Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. So there is a total surrender we have to happen at that time. All those are not understood until then. We reach a stage where there is a total surrender. That is what a Lata is all about. In all the previous three cases, there is still possible that one can exist without the other. Whereas the life of a creeper is impossible without the support. So bhakti has now reached a stage of a spirit of surrender. That is a level 4 of bhakti. That is what is indicated by Lata Kshitiruham. Because a creeper is impossible for a creeper to grow and exist. I mean, we have seen it, no? If sometimes they pull the support, it just perishes because it lies on the ground and it just perishes, which clearly shows that the next level of bhakti is a stage of deep surrender. Yes, a deep feeling that our existence, we owe our existence to the other entity. See, there are two entities here. We will come to that two entities little later. But we are constantly talking of two entities. Acharya has taken two entities. That's why there is a karta, karma, and a kriya. It's going on. So, in all the 5 examples, there are two entities. Please understand. Now, the only differences that we are finding is what is the relationship between the two entities, what is the nature of effort that is required on the part of the two entities. These are all the things we are talking. And what is the understanding of one entity about the other. This is where the differences are cropping up in these examples. So, moment you say Lata Kshitiruham, bhakti has gone to a state of surrender. Right? Then, the last example says Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. The river goes and merges into an ocean. Now, what has happened is the identity is lost finally. The identity is completely lost. That is in fact, these 5 examples in a way brings the 3 Siddhantas, Dvaita, Visishta Dvaita and Advaita in some ways actually. Because the 3 Siddhantas actually are also in a way coming through those 3 things. See, in Dvaita Siddhanta, all of them are talking about reaching the God. In the Dvaita Siddhanta, that the two entities are constantly carried on even after reaching unto the God. That is the first 2 examples. The seed and the tree, as well as the magnet and the needle, the 2 entities are still there. There is technically possible that we have the 2 entities which are we can recognize very easily. Whereas we take the next 2 examples, what is Visishta Advaita? Visishta Advaita is actually in between Dvaita and Advaita. What is it saying? Until the point of realization, that sense of duality is there. Once that point of realization happens, it merges. The entity is blurred. That is why it is called Visishta Advaita. The entities exist, but the existence got very blurred. Still, the 2 entities are the Acharya and the Pada and, merging in the Pada and all that. So there is a blurring of these are the technical, that kind of things are also coming here. So in this Padivratya and this ultimate, Dambhatya, and look at for example, the Lata. Many times we find that, it's almost merged. It takes so much of the, tree. Sometimes we don't know whether it is a tree or creeper. That much merger has happened. Although two entities are there, the separation is becoming difficult. But to make a lot of effort to separate, you can still separate with a great effort. You have to separate. What is it indicating? It is indicating the two existence of two entities is still a cognizable idea, but it has blurred. That is the Siddhanta of Visishtadvaita. I'm simplifying it too much. I'm saying that kind of a thing also we are able to see here. They are all different stages of bhakti. Whereas in the Advaita it says everything has to become one. That is indicated by the last example. Sindhuhu Saridvallabham. Right? Completely it merges into one. So it shows different stages and different facets of bhakti. That's what these 5 example actually shows. And this Sindhu Saridvallabham is, so there are certain things which are common for all the 5. And what are common? There are 2 entities. Now the question is, what are these 2 entities now? There are 2 entities in these 5 examples. So there is a Paramatma and a Jiva. That's why all the Siddhantas can be linked now. So there are 2 entities. There is a Jivatma and the Paramatma. So bhakti is a mechanism which all the Siddhantas agree to. The path is the same. The technicalities are a little different. All the Siddhantas are saying bhakti is a mechanism by which the Jivatma must get to go into the Paramatma. So the 2 entities, so one has to reach. So another thing that is common is all of them are reaching. They are reaching. That's why the word prapnoti, the verb prapnoti comes. So the Jivatma reaches unto. That's why one entity is reaching the other. So that is also common to all of them. The differences are there are different gradations, different ways we can understand how these 2 entities exist, their existence, their physical individual identity, all that kind of a thing. So Acharya brings 5 examples as 5 gradations of bhakti. And he says the last example is the Advaita Siddhanta of oneness. Now, in the context of the Advaita Siddhanta, the argument is this. See, as long as you are seeing something other than one in the world, leave the Siddhanta for the moment. Let us look at the logic. As long as you see one other than you, anything other than you, it may be even God. As long as you are in a position where you are seeing something other than you, there is a Dvaita Bhava there that can introduce a lot of challenges. One of them is fear. Imagine the whole world is one. Where is fear? Where is Parajaya? Who is to be conquered? Where is competition? Who is there to compete? So at a fundamental level, the point that is being made is bhakti, we can start with the Dvaita feeling. But then finally, everything has become one. Only then that fear, everything will go and that Ananda will come. Otherwise, it can be, that's why in a very lower level of bhakti, God is a matter of fear for us. We think God is a different entity from us. As long as we think God is the Bhagavan is a different entity from us, then that can be a tool to generate fear, tool to conform you to something. We may start like that. All those are simple things. I mean, the deepest point that is being made is when the second one disappears. In the 3 Siddhantas, they disappear in 3 different ways. Still, that's where we are getting. The 2 entities have to go. When the 2 entities go, then God becomes a matter of joy, not a matter of fear or a matter of something else on which we have to, transact with in whichever ways you take it, whichever ways. Moment you bring a second entity, then it brings down the whole idea of this. That is why he says Swaswarupa Anusandhana Bhakti Iti Abhidiyate. Because finally, we identify your true nature as that which merges with that Paramatma. In whichever model you want to do, that is a different thing. But if you are able to see that this completely identifies with that, and you discover your true nature like that, that is why he says that is bhakti. That means God is a matter of an expression of feeling and joy, because everything is one now. There isn't a second that we need to actually think about. So many of the bhakti that we do in a very empirical sense are all at a different levels, which is all fine. I think the target for the bhakti is to merge everything into one, into that Paramatma, and understand that it is the oneness. So that is exactly what Acharya wants to bring. And that he says the biggest villain there is the manas. So that's why the next two lines are coming. Now, this cannot happen until this mind is going to cooperate. Because all these are the ramifications of the mind. What we are is a function of what our mind is actually throwing out. It is the Cheto Vritti. It is the Chitta Vritti. That's why in Yoga Sutra, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, all are saying the same thing. They are saying the Chitta Vritti Nirodha must happen. Because the mind plays out everything. Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam. Bandha Moksha. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful shloka. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetuhu na devatatma griha karma karyah manaparam karanam amananti samsara chakre parivartayet yat. That is in Bhagavatam, I think 7th canto, I think. There is the one story in which this finally that Brahmana comes with this. He says, Na ayam atma, right? Nayam janaha, me sukha dukkha hetuhu. There is a story. Finally, this Brahmin was thrown out of the village, and the Brahmin was, in fact, in Bhagavatam it says, piss at him. He is worthless. That kind of language is being used. His own sons disown him and all that. At that time, he says, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetuhu. They are not responsible for my sukha and dukkha. Na devata, na griha, na karma, na kala. None of them. Not my time is, we use all that in common parlance. In a more transactional sense, we are using. We deeply fit, we will also agree to it. We may go to astrology, but finally we know that there is a karma which we have brought. The karma bag has to be consumed. At one level, we understand it. So, na griha karma kalaha, manaha param karanam amananti. Samsara chakre parivartayet yet. That's the one which is making us go through this chakra of samsara. So we have to, it's all about, that's why Acharya did so much about mind. Everywhere he said, Manas is a monkey, you take it. Manas is a tent, you come and sit it. Manas is a forest, you kill all the animals in my Manas. Again and again, he is, getting that message. That's why he brought it into this shloka now. Before that, the Sindhu Sarid Vallabham, I am reminded of this Mundaka Upanishad. Finally, it came to this. It's a very beautiful. Yada nandyaha sendamanaha samudre astam gachanti namarupe vihaya tata vidwan namarupa vimuktaha parat param purusham upaiti divyam. This exactly what Shankaracharya is saying, Sindhu Sarid Vallabham, that the river must lose its identity completely by merging into, until the point it merges into the ocean. You may call it with different names. You may call it Godavari, you may call it Krishna, you may call it, Upanadi, tributaries, this, that. Brahmaputra and Ganga is called Bay of Bengal at the same place. They have lost their identity. That's what it is saying. Nadyaha sendamanaha samudre astam gachanti. They finally go and find their end. Nama Rupe, their Nama and Rupa both are gone. They have lost both their name tag is gone, the Rupa is also gone. Tatha Vidwan Nama Rupe Vihaya Vimuktaha. So that realized soul will have to actually give up the name, form, everything. Purusham Upayati Divyam. That's what he says, Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. That is the ultimate purpose of bhakti, Swaswarupa Anusandhanam. Bhakti hi iti abhidiyati. That's why he said like that in, Viveka Chudamani. So that's what he is saying, Parat Param Purusham Upayati. So that Sindhu Sarid Vallabham is a very beautiful analogy for the pinnacle of bhakti. Look at what is happening. When a river merges with the ocean, what all things happen?
المادية كنت
Completely loses its identity permanently. You cannot suck back water and get Ganges again. It will become salty. Then you have to put a salt treatment plant to get some 1 liter of water out of it to call it Ganges. So it is not possible to locate the river anymore. It is an irreversible process. The merged river cannot be sucked back to form the river once again. When the Vidwan got the Jnanam, he can never become an Ajnani again. You cannot get him back to Ajnana. Once he gets Jnana, that's the end of it. Once you know that that mirage is no water, there is no way you can get water. You will continue to see the mirage. Marumuruchika you will see, but you can't get water there because you already got the jnana. There is no water there. So you cannot get water again. A mirage is something. First time I thought water. When I went near it, there is no water. Second day onwards, I cannot. Right? Many different rivers can come to the same ocean. This is the third message, Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. Brahmaputra and Ganges come to the same place. In fact, all of them, all rivers in peninsular India come to Bay of Bengal. Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi, Vaigai, Tamraparni, up to that, everything has lost its name. All of them have become Bay of Bengal now. That's what is happening. So all of us have become one. When you are willing to drop your Nama and Rupa, you identify the oneness. That is also indicated by Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. So he says many different rivers can come to the same ocean. This is another message we have to get out of. Nadyaha samudre astam gacchanti namarupe vihaya tada vidvan namarupe vimuktaha param upayiti divyam. Getting back, and finally what he said, it is getting back to the source. What is all this? Where was the river started? River started only in the ocean because that became cloud. That cloud came somewhere and it poured that water somewhere. And that water you called it as river. So the same person has come back to it. That's why the Nijabija Santadhi is going to Ankolam. That's what is happening. It is going to its source, right? It is all about getting back to the source. We all have to get back to the source. That source is Paramatma. So bhakti, the ultimate phala or prayojana of a bhakti is we get back to the source. All these are indicated by Sindhu Sarid Vallam. That's a direct lift from Mundaga Upanishad. Acharya must have thought about this and brought that example there. Yada nadyaha samudre astam gacchanti namarupe vihaya. That is what is indicated by Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. So that is what is coming through this. I think this shloka requires some more interpretation. So we will continue it in the next class. At least my guru, 3 hours he taught this, not an hour. I can't do that much. I don't know that much also, but it looks like there is some more which we can understand from this shloka. So we will continue the shloka in the next class also and see a little bit more of what is being conveyed through this shloka. The next 2 lines we haven't seen. We have seen only the first 2 lines. Ankolam nijabija santatihi ayaskanto palam suchika sadvim naija vibhum lata shitirugam sindhu saridvallavam prapnoti yata. We have seen only that much now. Tata Arabhya we have to see. That we will see. Also some more understanding of the importance of this shloka and all that. We will continue in the next class. We will stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Jambunathan sir is saying Ankolam tree is in Bangalore also. Maybe we should go and see it. Or Jambunathan sir should tell us the address and maybe he should take a photo and send it to us.
Sir, it is available in our somewhere in. I'll tell you.